Hi, everyone. This is Michelle and Josephine Zanetti again, and we are going to discuss adrenal burnout. This is a huge epidemic throughout the world. And we're going to talk about the many reasons of what leads to burnout, some of the symptoms you may have, and ways that you could, work on healing that. We're not doctors, we're not licensed professionals. We are in the way of nutrition, hormonal analysis, and a lot of experience. I go back many decades of dealing with adrenal problems. So I like to share my experience, and Josephine will share hers. Seek out a doctor if you feel like you need some kind of care. Okay. Hi,
Perfect. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, nice seeing you again.
You too.
So yes, let's go and about burnout. My goodness, I think you want to start, go ahead.
Yep. So some of the things that can lead to burnout are definitely stress. I think stress is the number one cause of most of our problems. Working too much, working out too much, negative thoughts, not sleeping, alcohol, drugs, too much sugar. These are things that are just constantly keeping, the adrenals in the fight or flight. They could be dehydration. It could be your mother, if she was stressed while she was pregnant with you, she could have been depleted. If you were like one of 5 kids and you were the youngest, your mother, each pregnancy, she was becoming more copper toxic. So unfortunately, you got the tail end of her, being depleted and stressed. These are kind of some of the things that I, like to mention that I know in my life affected me with adrenal burnout. What about you, Josephine?
Yeah, I would say that, I think I was a burnout kid all my life. I started as a kid. My grandmother would hear me always saying, I'm tired. And she'd say, how could that be? You're a kid, you're just a child, and you're always tired. You've done nothing to be tired. And it's true. It must have been also, of course, the stress from the household. It was also the food that was bogging me down, because It was the kind of diet that I was having that was really not helping my digestive system. And I was not having enough fat in my diet. I was having way more carbs. And so as children, we're fast oxidizers, and most of the time, generally. And so having pasta or pizza or salads and fruits, that was bringing me, was really taking me to, under 6 feet underground, quite honestly, because even in school, I couldn't really think, right? It was like there was a light, but nobody home quite oftentimes, So I would say that many people are like that, and, I went and do research because I knew we were going to talk about this, about burnout. And that they coined that word in 1973, burnout, okay? And a psychologist called it burnout. So everybody's burnout when they don't know what's going on with the person, okay? It started in 1973, but in the Bible, in the first part of the Bible, even Moses complained that he was tired. Then Elijah as well, it was the same thing in the first part of the Bible. And what it came down to really, even then, it was the lack of spirituality and the lack of faith. Okay, so because most people who are burned out, besides the diet, okay, which if you get that under control, it'll be much better, especially once you know if you're slow or fast. But the biggest thing that goes on really is, I'm thinking here. Are you there? Yeah. Okay, so the thing with the diet, I lost it because I can't remember what I wanted to say about that burnout thing. Honestly, okay, my food. I'm digesting my food.
Here, people.
It's very important what I know I wanted to say. So of course, it's about spirituality. So the thing is, when most people who are burned out are type A, okay? As a kid, you're a type A naturally. That's right. Okay. So because you're fast, you want to do tons of things. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get older, we have to learn to prioritize. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What's important and how many things that you're going to do during the day. Because only the thought of the things you need to do for some people, that's going to burn them out.
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Eck said that, let's say if you're already burned out and you end up with a bad relationship, okay, and you're like on the borderline of burnout, okay, you're not burnout, but you're like on the borderline, well, that's going to do it. That could take years before you come back up again from burnout, okay. So you got the type A's, then the relationship we get in, that could give us the burnout, right? And there's many indicators. There's a few, not many, but there's quite a few indicators on the hair test that tells us if the person is in burnout, right? We got the 4 lows, we got the 3 lows, we got the low
dominance.
That's right. Then you got the sodium, and then you got the magnesium, the potassium, like you said, and all of these, even the pore eliminators will tell us how many pore eliminators. If you got more than 3, you're in burnout because you're not eliminating.
Right.
You don't have the vitality in the body to eliminate any toxins from the body, right? So basically, that's what it is. And it's no fun to be in burnout because we know we've been through it. And there's times if we overdo it, we go back into it. Because you really have to be disciplined in that area as well.
Well, so here's the biggest struggle, and with, it took me a long time to understand. First of all, you can be in kind of like adrenal insufficiency. So before it leads to burnout, we can go through patterns where things are okay. And then we have to go into a recovery phase, and we may come out of it quicker, because we're younger, we have more hormones. And then as we get older, it becomes more and more difficult to come out of it, which leads to burnout. So getting to the beginning stages, because I think, a lot of people coming here might be in the middle to end stages, some of the things that I found that when I go back, that I can see were huge indicators were, being wired and waking up around 3, 4 a.m., like, why am I up in the middle of the night? And then being tired in the afternoon. So what's happening is cortisol is flipped. So when you should be feeling good at 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and opposite. So it becomes an opposite thing. That happened for decades with me, just popping up. There was too much norepinephrine that was jolting me out. I remember a doctor saying, do you wake up feeling fear and stress? Because he looked at my saliva test and he can see that I was, having this wake up in the morning that was waking me up too much. It should be later in the day. Anyway, that was some of the things that I had. And then I had a lot of dizzy spells. So I would get up, and what happens is your blood pressure drops about 10 points. And if you go to certain natural doctors, they'll actually test. This is one of the tests to see if you have adrenal problems, is they'll do your blood pressure lying down and then standing up. And if it drops, that's a problem. So I was getting dizzy, almost passing out, need for more caffeine. So what was a little bit was working. And then later, you see this with a lot of fitness people. I used to be a Beachbody coach, and they're just downing the caffeine and feeling like proud of themselves. Or like, I was up at 4 a.m. and I chugged a bunch of caffeine and I did this, crazy workout. No, don't follow them. I'm sorry, but they will just leave you more depleted and sick. If you want to follow somebody, follow the people that are sleeping and that don't need all that caffeine to get them going. That's just not good advice. Salt cravings, that's usually people with a low sodium to potassium ratio. They're going to crave more salt. Hormonal imbalances. I have a lot of young clients that are coming to me with low testosterone, low hormones, inability to handle stress.
Yes. So that is the biggest thing, right? The inability to handle stress. And also the inability to sit quiet and to let go and let God is not especially in our generation, but it's been like this for quite a long time. Like I said, it was even part of in the first part of the Bible. Moses went through that, and Elijah and others. But if we would be able to just let go, it would make a big difference. But really, when you think about the blessings of burnout, it's amazing.
Because it makes you sit down. And that's the thing, is I was in a constant state of being productive. Like I was one of those people that write a long list and I'd check everything off, and I'd be so proud of myself at the end of the day that I did all of this. And, I based my value on accomplishing, which is part of the type A.
Right.
And, when you get to a point of burnout and you can't do those things, it's a rude awakening. Then you have to sit and think about yourself, your traumas. Why have I been doing this? And some people can work through that and they come out of it. It's kind of a shift. You go through like a dark night of the soul and have a spiritual awakening. Whereas other people may get worse because they're still resisting that part of themselves. So they don't want to face it, which can lead to addiction and other things that we see in our society that people are doing. But to go back what you said about spirituality, everything is feeling the love. We came into this world with God's love, with love, and then we just had this separation through life, and we're always trying to find our way back. And if you don't know your purpose in life and feeling happy with who you are and being we're all connected in this universe. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all one. If you're not feeling that, then you're going to struggle. And so then we're going to overwork. We're going to be doing these things to fill up, what's missing on the inside.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly the way it is. It's when I pray, I always ask for the virtue and to increase the faith, especially because it's easier said than done. Having faith means that you don't worry. Whatever happens, whether it's good or bad, if it's bad, it's okay. It's like, all right, I'll handle this. Okay. And never mind, I'll handle it. God has a plan. Okay.
Yeah.
That's another thing. So because right away it's I will handle this.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to mind, I'll handle it.
It's like, I got myself into this mess, and
that's right.
That's the ego, which is protecting. The ego is about survival, and it has its place. And I've mentioned this in other videos too. Yeah. The ego does protect us, but when we become out of balance, the ego is taking over. And so how do you know this? The need for controlling your exterior, because interior is feeling out of control. So people will see this in work environments and their relationships, micromanaging, trying to control everything around them and feeling anxious. And that's the ego that's taking over. There is no trust, no letting go, and no faith. And that's the hormones of stress. The hormones of stress are very addictive. I see it with myself. I see it with others. And if we don't stop, breathe, and recoup, and we're in this constant state, and it's addictive. Go look at the person who's doing the most, and they're volunteering for more.
That's right. Right on. Exactly.
Because the hormones are so addictive that it's like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do this. I'll do that. And it's just, and now I laugh at it, because I can see it.
I find, I think I get out of my four lows when I'm in that mode, by the way. When I'm in that mode, and when I'm in my fear and flight, fight and fear, what is it? The flight and
fight and flight.
Fear, that's when it seems like I do my best. It's like, but really it's not good for the body, because then you crash, right? It's a big crash that comes along, but you feel alive. I mean, that's what matters. We feel alive.
And that's why people are doing, because they like that feeling. I call myself a recovering adrenaline addict.
Right. Oh, good.
Because I really am. My mother was under stress when she was pregnant with me. And then really through my whole childhood, it was a stressful, unhealthy environment. And then I went into my, life constantly just addicted to the hormones of stress because you feel alive. And the beginning stages of burnout, and I share with my clients, is you're going to feel a little bit depressed because everything's going to slow down. And, I see people, I've had people come to me and I look at their hair and you can see they're sympathetic dominant or they're in a 4 highs. So that they're really burnout and sympathetic dominant underneath, but they're still doing things like running marathons, doing stuff because it releases those happy hormones because they don't want to feel depressed. So they're constantly doing these things that are just and they have arthritis, they have all these inflammation and health issues that are contributing to their inability to just stop, rest, and face what they're avoiding.
That's right. I mean, that's, the best advice that we all have, whether you follow this program or not, the best advice is to learn to rest. Because burnout is not about how much sleep you're going to get in order to really recover from it. Okay. It's really letting go of the ego, letting go and letting God take its, let him in the driver's seat, and I know it's easier said than done, but that's really the only cure for burnout. I mean, sure, the diet is very important because while you're trying to let go and let God, that's the beginning. Okay, yeah. So you let go by letting go of your
bad habits,
your junk food and everything else right off the bat. That's a start. And then some discipline on the food and the supplements you're taking and some procedures that you may get into and stuff like that. That's a letting go because some people have temper tantrums because they really don't want to do that. So for them, it's a big lifestyle change, And
it's hard in the beginning, it's hard because if you do all those things, what I found for me, because I had decades of addiction to the stress hormones, is that the vagus nerve and my nervous system, although I was trying to do things to eliminate stress and slow down on my life, my nervous system was still addicted and having a hard time slowing down. So I share with my clients that it may take a couple years, depending on how burned out you are. When I came into this, I was extremely burned out. I'm still, I think for the first time in 5 years, I'm starting to come out of it. And I'm starting to feel more calm. Like the nervous system part that had been bothering me the past few years is calming down. So I know that takes some time. So it's not going to happen overnight because you have to understand that the body itself is, it's kind of, I've never done these drugs, but if I were to describe it as like somebody coming off of like heroin or crack or whatever, right. It's like, even though you come off and you're doing all these things and you're getting healthier, the body is still kind of, in this, state.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. Because it's, we've been, people have been going like the rabbit, the bunny rabbit for so long. And then to just stop. I mean, some people, they stop and it takes time to heal. I remember Dr. Eck, I read one of his books, and he did say how long it would take to cure or heal. And some people, they will never achieve it because they're not able to let go. I was watching, didn't watch it, but I just happened to see this hockey player here in Quebec that played for the Montreal Canadiens, okay? And that was one of the best teams, let's say, in the world, right? And he just passed away, was only in his early 70s, and he had this big ceremony, the Catholic Church, because here it's, although they don't practice it, there's a lot of hypocrisy going on here. But anyways, and then at the end, They put the music, the song of Frank Sinatra, I Did It My Way. And I said, here we go. Here we go. We did it our way. And when every time we try to do it our way, I mean, that's a very interesting song, I mean, we all love the beat and everything, but when you listen to the lyrics, it's really something, because it's like, yes, he did it his way. He did it. It's so much his way that he passed away in his early 70s, this guy, unfortunately. Burnout, most likely, he ended up with cancer, because that's what happens, right? We end up with diseases. We get in stage 3 of stress, and then you stay stuck in stage 3 and you never get out of it. And then next thing you know, boom, you get some disease, heart disease, lung disease, all kinds of different things at that age, right? And that is a very sad thing, but it happens. And I think to let go, and I mean, we have a lot of people who talk about it. They talk about Christians, and then we got the meditation, we got all kinds of different things. And, it's easy to talk. We're big talkers. But are we really people of action is the question.
And it takes, it's habits, to come out of what were habits for decades. Like for me, the meditation, the slowing down, implementing things like not working after 6. I would be on the computer sometimes till 10 o'clock at night, sitting at my desk, putting my phone on do not disturb, dimming the lights. These were things that I just slowly had to incorporate into my life to calm down. I was on the go. I was partying. I was traveling. I was working too hard, playing too hard. I mean, anybody who knows me that's watching this, they know a way different Michelle.
Wow. Huh?
Yeah.
Really,
Now
you had the energy, though. I mean,
I did. And I think the reason why I kind of lasted longer is I did start eating healthy many years ago. And even in my early 20s, I started drinking water. And, I could relate with you growing up on pasta, being Italian, growing up in that Italian environment. I had a leaky gut. I had all kinds of problems in my early 20s. And I slowly just started making changes. So I think even though I was depleted hormonally and went through menopause early because of the burnout, I was going like this, and then just like major crash, because the other crashes I recovered from, I kind of learned things along the way to help me recover. The thing that I didn't learn was that the way that I was living my life. So even my diet, good, and taking supplements and doing things that a lot of people are not doing, I was doing those, but I was entertaining, negative thoughts, or just thinking about the past, having regrets, looping, not having self-worth, things like that were actually causing a lot of problems. And that's, I think, in the burnout this recently, the past 5 years, is I've been learning more of that and not allowing too much of that in my life. And when I see it come in, loop it out, or journaling has helped me tremendously. And a lot of different, listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza, reading different books on consciousness, letting go, praying, whatever. I think that, some people don't have that. So there are other ways that you can try and get there. They may not, they've been, had religious abuse, things in the past. But there are ways, I stretch every night and play with the dogs. You got to find things that bring you joy.
Yes.
Because if you're too much in this, working, we're self-employed. So you're in kind of masculine energy with that. And so now I'm learning more to be in my feminine energy. So I get off the computer, I get on the floor, I stretch, I play with the dogs, I laugh, kind of move my body to get out of that rigidness. But too many, especially women, are caught up in the masculine energy. This is something I've been learning a lot recently. So they're kind of like, have a lot of problems with their shoulders and their upper back and their neck, because they're trying to, be independent and take care of themselves, and they're not relaxing into their feminine. So you got to watch that, and men too, we need to be able to feel comfortable in both of those energies and flow through them, because too much of anything is bad.
Yeah, that's right. And we weren't built, women were not built to work in the way that we do. Let's say we were built to have babies, and even many babies, because if you have 10 kids, the mother can relax. And finally, she can relax because the older kids are able to look after the other kids. So any new kids that come along, then it becomes fun. That's what I hear a lot. I heard a lot of that, and I hear a lot of women, let's say not a lot because there's not that many, but there are a few more. There's more and more young kids now that want more babies, which is a good thing, although many people think we've got too many people on earth, which is another fallacy. But for women, I mean, we're not built to work in the way we do. I mean, I have an electrician woman that comes here, and
Oh,
she
wow.
tells me that she doesn't have her period. She hasn't had her period for something like 3 years. Well, I mean, she's doing a man's work, and she's, dealing with electricity daily. And I mean, we got the hormones that are completely different than men. We're not made like them. So, like you said, we need to bring back more of the feminine for women, and for men, they need to come back to being male, where they need to learn how to lead a woman,
and not toxic masculine.
That's right.
Not much toxic masculine. And I've been learning a lot with this course that I've been taking. His name is Jake Woodard, Woodard, who's been helping me a lot with this masculine feminine energy. And there's too much toxic masculine, and women who are attracted to that, because in the beginning, a toxic masculine may come off like, that they want you, they come after you, and you might be more in your feminine. But if the man is toxic, what happens is soon after the relationship, the honeymoon period is over, if the man is not grounded, knowing who he is and how to navigate his own masculinity and feminine and with the woman, then what happens is, my experience, my masculine takes over because I feel unsafe. So I'm in a relationship with a man who's starting to be flighty, maybe, past relationships, they had addiction. These are things that a woman needs to feel secure. So if a man is expressing these things of instability and insecurity, then being an independent woman, my masculine takes over. So then we have these two toxic masculine energies that are competing and that are causing, this unhealthy dynamic in the relationship. So I've learned a lot about that. And I learned that I'm actually extremely feminine. I'm very feminine.
Right.
I want to be feminine. I want to be led, but I want to be led, with somebody who understands these things and is grounded, and he's able to lead me properly. Because if not, then, that's not good. That's a woman needs to feel secure in the relationship.
Yeah, and a woman wants to be loved. She wants to be, taken care of financially, where she doesn't have to worry about the bills, because that's not, or anything like that. That's what we were meant to do, really, because when we start worrying about the finance, that's where our masculinity, right away, it starts in, because then we have to look at the books. We gotta, so I mean, that goes right out the door. I mean, you can't have it both ways. It's like, have your briefcase and have it all, like they used to say in the 80s and 90s. You can't have it all. No, I mean, that's not possible. It's like and it's not even healthy. This is one of the reasons people are so burned out, I mean, especially women, but men are as well, because they don't feel like that they're able to be at their potential like they would want to be, because they have a lot of fear, them too, because we do live in a society now that women have all the rights in the sense that, okay, whatever they say, it's right, whatever the man says is wrong. So I mean, there's a lot of healing that needs to be done in that area. And, I think it's happening, and it's a slow process, but more and more young people of 20 years old, 25 years old, do not want to be like their parents or their grandparents. They saw that did not work, The third revolution did not work. They want to go back to tradition. They want to go and relax and look after their children, even though, that's what they have. They got that in mind. They're 20 years old. That's their goal. Getting married, having children. I think, wow, hey, that's something. Our generation, we were brainwashed in a different way, and that's the biggest problem, the brainwashing. Although you and I did not go to college, we got brainwashed in a different way, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I didn't get the brainwashing from college, thank God, but then I got the brainwashing maybe from Hollywood, from the movies, especially, because I was a movie goer. I love the movies,
I know those chick flicks ruined everything, because that is not what it's about. Like,
no, exactly.
These Hollywood relationships, you're like, oh, I want that. And then you meet somebody, you get in, you're like, he's not treating me like in the movies.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Yeah. And, it's kind of like we have to go back to some traditional values, but in a new, healthy way.
Right.
And what happened was, it was a little too out of balance with the men and the women, and men were just way too toxic masculine. And so then feminism came in to try and pull it. We see this with our political parties. So then feminism and tried to pull it to be more feminine, but then I believe that feminism is very toxic.
Right.
So we've got both these toxic masculine and feminine that we need to work on individually with ourselves. Everything is about ourselves, not other people. It's none of our business.
Right.
If we all focus on ourselves, deal with our trauma, learn why the ego takes over, working through all that and be more grounded, then we can have a lot more love and compassion for others, and we can live more in harmony if we're doing our own personal growth.
Absolutely. So in the closing, as we're going to be closing now, I think that those people who are watching, who are in burnout, the way to go is first get a hair test, find out if you're a sympathetic dominant, if you're a slow oxidizer, where your calcium, potassium is as well. If it's higher than 200, you're definitely burnout. If you're a 4 low, and solution to these through diet, supplements, lifestyle, and with some coaching, some support, because it's not easy. You can't do this alone. It's easier said than done to do this alone. And so you got to start somewhere. So in the meantime, don't forget to subscribe to Michelle's YouTube and do a thumbs up. Okay, a nice thumbs up. And please come and see us again next week, because me and Michelle, we're meeting every Friday, and we're doing this together, and we really like it. It's a lot of fun. It's fun, and it's we're sharing our experience that we have, and we want to really expand it to others, and for them to understand that there is a way out to everything. There is healing. We just got to be willing to start somewhere, one step at a time.
Yeah, just be kind and patient with yourself. Change is not easy. It doesn't happen overnight, and that's why it is good to have somebody who's a coach to help you with that, because there's going to be times that you're self-sabotaging and feeling, low self-worth, and reaching out to your coach to kind of remind you that you're going to be okay. A client reached out to me last night in extreme fear because her family members are having some kind of cancer. And I just assured her, being in fear was definitely not going to help, that, and that, coming from a place of being grounded and not fearing something, because we almost attract what we fear. So we don't,
That's right. Yeah, we do actually.
Yeah, we do. So, having a coach is it helps instead of doing it alone. You're doing it with somebody who's been through this and who's on the other side. And we're here to help you.
All right. So we'll see you next week. And if there's anything else, please put some comments below. If there's anything you're interested in topic or anything like that, let us know. And
yes,
we'll do it.
Let us know. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Okay.
Bye.